Welcome to Buddhist Center. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you tonight to talk about the stages of the path to enlightenment and specifically bodhicitta. So, without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's get started by setting the most incredible motivation in the universe, and that's the motivation of bodhicitta, the idea of wanting to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. This idea of wanting to become the most reliable guide in the universe in order to be the most helpful person to everyone around you. And as a byproduct, that result allows you to be the happiest individual in the universe. And that result is called Buddhahood. And that would mean that you're a Buddha. That would mean that you no longer have the afflictive obstructions or the obstructions to omniscience that keep you from that state of being the happiest person in the world that's connected to being the most reliable guide in the universe, the most helpful guide in the universe. So let's say that we're attending this teaching tonight, even if it's kind of in a contrived way, even if it's not something that we really, really feel intensely, or even maybe we don't feel it a little. If we say it, the more we become familiar with this idea of cherishing others, this idea of wanting our goals to be placed around being able to help others, the more it becomes natural and the more it becomes part of who we are. And if that becomes part of who we are and that is who we are, that means we're moving closer to that ultimate goal of complete happiness. So we can then set this motivation in such a way that we say, I'm here tonight to learn everything that I possibly can to become kinder, to become more loving, to become more compassionate, to become more wise, and if I can become more and more compassionate, kind, wise, loving, caring, if I can become more and more like a Buddha who has perfected all of those things, that will mean that I'm moving closer and closer to that goal. And we're learning all of the really specific techniques that allow our minds to go from the place where my mind is at, which is clearly not in a perfect place in relation to kindness and love and compassion and wisdom and so forth, to the place where beings like His Holiness the Dalai Lama's mind are, or my teacher Namgyal Khensur Geshe Wangdak Rinpoche's mind was when he was in our world and is as the Dharmakaya. So I have been so fortunate, I think, as a practitioner to be able to have had so many great teachers to see as examples of who I can become and what qualities I would like to have. And fortunately, these are teachers who shared with me how they got the qualities that I really would like to have. And it wasn't a secret. It wasn't like they were born special. It was that they engaged in really specific things that made them into the special beings that really moved me every time that I was with them. And still, whenever I'm in contact with these types of beings, it moves me every time because they operate in such a way that's so different from the way that everyone else acts and reacts generally in this world. And that really motivated me to want to be more like that. So let's say we're going to do the best that we can tonight to try to think in the ways that these beings think, to try to listen to this teaching in a way that would allow us to really properly hear it, listen to it as if we're being diagnosed with an illness and being told exactly what we're going to need to do next to be cured, recognizing that we have the afflictive obstructions and these obstructions to omniscience that are causing us so much pain. And all of these things can be removed if we engage in a pathway that will allow this removal to take place. So And this pathway is so clearly presented by kind beings in the universe that have come to show us only one thing, and that's how to alleviate the suffering that we want to be free from, and how to achieve the happiness that we clearly want to have in a satisfactory way. So without further ado, and without wasting time, I said at the beginning, let's not waste any time in this teaching. Let's generate this motivation as quickly as possible. And it's because, like, wouldn't it make sense to make use of every moment in the best way that we possibly could? It wouldn't make sense to say, hey, I'm going to just try to get half good out of this moment, or I'm just going to try to get half of what I could out of every moment of my life. We would want to get everything we can out of every moment. And if we look at what our goals in life are, they're really to have happiness and be free from suffering. And if that's true, then it would make sense that each moment that we're living, we're creating those causes for the results to eventually occur that we're talking about, because all results depend upon causes. This is the main thing that we learn as Buddhists, that nothing just comes out of nowhere, that all composite things are impermanent and all contaminated things are in the nature of suffering, and that results are concordant with their causes. And if we're looking for a really specific result, we need specific causes for that really specific result to occur. There's no haphazard approach that will allow for the things that we're looking for to occur, just like no haphazard approach has ever produced big things in our life that we wanted to have occur. The big things in our life that we've wanted to have occur have always required complex causes and required effort and required us to put in the necessary effort behind all of those things in order to produce what we were looking for. And this is no different. And we're looking to produce the most complex result that there ever could be, and that's a Buddha. That's the most complex mind that exists in the universe, that can understand the most complex phenomena that exists in the universe and understand them correctly in all aspects of their entity, whereas someone like me can only understand one aspect, their conventional aspect. And I could, if I keep studying and meditating, realize emptiness and then understand at a separate time another aspect, the ultimate truth of the entity that we're talking about. But it's only a Buddha who can simultaneously understand both of those aspects of all entities of phenomena, and therefore only a Buddha who's really the most capable, qualified, perfected, most complex, sophisticated being in the universe. So just give me one moment. The Facebook is turning on and turning off, so I just want to end this and see if I can fix it. I don't know what's going on here, but there's a problem. I don't know. There's some sort of a problem on the Facebook, which is no big deal. I'm just going to try and do it again. It's saying that there's no connection. I think it's trying to connect to a Bluetooth or something. I'm not sure. But let me just try it again. I'm just going to go back on live. Hopefully, no, yeah, it's not going to work tonight. That's fine. Let's just, well, if it does that, reconnect again. So, hey, everybody, we're back on Facebook, I guess. So, let's now set the motivation that we were talking about, the motivation from the Ornament for Clear Realization, the Abhisama Alamkara by Lord Maitreya, that says the altruistic aspiration to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, to achieve the highest enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. This is bodhicitta. So let's set our motivation. May I become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. And with this motivation, let's imagine that the merit field then is in the space in front of us. All of those guides so that in our future lives, we always connect with qualified Mahayana teachers. In this life, let's always imagine that they're with us, that they're in the space in front of us, and let's try to connect our minds with those beings that we will always want to connect with, those beings like our root lamas, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lord Chen Rezig, who's in our world right now. Thinking of our root lamas, thinking of any enlightened being that you can imagine. Of course, Buddha Shakyamuni and the extensive deeds lineage and profound view lineage and the lineage of blessings and all of the enlightened masters of the Nyingma, Sakya, Kaju, and Galupa, and the holy masters of the Galupa lineage, Lama Tsongkhapa, Kirtubje, Gyaltsabje, Basuchuji Jetsun, Panchen Sonandrapa, Jayan Sheba, Janja Rilpi Dorji, Gonchu Jimbe Wampo, all of these incredibly enlightened beings, the Panchen Lamas, the Dalai Lamas, Janja Rilpi Dorje, all of these beings that we're so affected by because we've heard these commentaries, whether we know it or not, when our teachers have taught us because they've studied these texts so well and understood them so well that the nectar that comes from their lips is just from these incredible texts because they don't make anything up. Everything that we're being taught has been taught to me by my teacher, and that was taught to them by their teacher, who was taught to them by their teacher, etc., etc. And we eventually end up at Buddha Shakyamuni. So let's imagine this spiritual lineage, this family of incredibly enlightened masters that we're part of in the space in front of us. And we're saying we want to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. There's two aspects of this wish. One is that I want to become a Buddha. And the second aspect of this wish is the reason that I want to become a Buddha is for the sake of everyone in the universe. So since we're saying that, we know that everyone in the universe needs to learn the truth of suchness. The truth of suchness, the Dharma, is what's necessary in order to cleanse our mind of the negative defilements. And since everybody wants their mind cleansed, they don't know it, but everybody wants happiness and wants to be free from suffering, and this requires one to have one's mind cleansed, if that is really the goal. So I'm just going to shut this off. So since everybody in the universe needs this mind cleansing to take place, why not imagine that even though it's a little premature, when we become a Buddha, we'll actually be able to connect with every single sentient being in the universe. But let's tell our minds that this is something that will eventually, that we want to do. So we'll eventually will be able to do it. We have to set various mental bases up for next stages of our mind to be able to be realized. And by doing things like this will set up a platform for our eventual ability to actually connect with every single sentient being in the universe when we achieve enlightenment. And we have a Dharmakaya, and we have Sambhogakaya, and we have Nirmanakaya. We have this ability to emanate these bodies, and our mind can connect with everybody and know exactly what they need. So let's just kind of pretend. Let's think about what it would be like to be able to do that for a moment. And imagine that we invite every single sentient being that is in the universe here to experience this teaching. Imagine that you invite all of your loved ones here, and you're inviting them here and saying, hey, there's a solution. Just like me, I know that you're not always satisfied and that you have states of suffering that you don't want. And there's a solution that will allow us to never have to experience those things again. Please come. Imagine that you're inviting them to this like wisdom party, this party where you actually get what you are looking for. You're going to a party to try to be happy and be free from suffering, and the night doesn't always go like that, or the day doesn't always go like that. But here, because we're creating perfect causes, these causes that we're creating can only result into our happiness and freedom from suffering. So imagine that you're inviting your friends, those people that you love, to a place like that. And then imagine that you're inviting strangers here, people that you don't know who they are exactly. You see them walking, or you see them in the supermarket or at the checkout, or they're, wherever these beings are that you can picture in your mind, but you don't really know who they are, but you've seen them so many times. Think about these strangers and imagine that, just like you, they want happiness and want to be free from suffering. And just like your loved ones, they want happiness and want to be free from suffering. And at any moment, they could become a loved one. They're just a stranger now. And then imagine that you invite difficult beings. And this is where we really see how our minds work and we see how our biased minds are. We see how difficult it is to imagine bringing someone that we dislike greatly somewhere where they would, be able to be happy and be free from suffering. Generally speaking, when we think of people we dislike or we think of our enemies, we seek retribution or revenge, or we want them to not have happiness and we want them to certainly not be free from suffering. We feel like they deserve to suffer. We feel like they should suffer. I hope they suffer. And here we're trying to train our minds in the opposite way. We're trying to train our minds, like Bodhisattva Shantideva says in the section that we're reading, to understand that at any moment these beings can become our enemies and can become our friends. And we know in our life right now, those beings that we've sometimes detested become beings that we've become super close to. And beings that we were close to in the past become beings that we detest. So we see our willingness and our flexibility around different sentient beings depending upon how they're making us feel at any given time. And one thing that doesn't change is that those beings at all given times want to have happiness and want to be free from suffering. And you want them to have happiness and want them to be free from suffering when they're in this group that you say friends or loved ones. But we see that this can change so quickly in life. And we can see that, we're so willing to cherish and protect these parts that we will shuck off and then that aren't really the owned by this I that like I think that they are. My mom and dad, had a union and there was sperm and an egg came together and my consciousness then, plopped into this mass, this of muck. And then I said, this is mine. So why not be willing to say other stuff, right? Is I'm going to take care of and protect. If I'm going to take care and protect this mass that, my consciousness was thrust into, that really like the blood and my bones and stuff, really these form matter parts are from my parents, right? I'm willing to say these are mine, even though they're parts of they're theirs. I just take these on. So why not be willing to say other people's parts or things that I should protect and take care of. And this is the kind of secret that we find in the mind training practice, where we start to be willing to broaden our area of aggregate protection and expand it to more than just the ones that are right here. And within this secret, we find out that the more we can do that, the more people we can have this loving, caring relationship in relation to, the happier we become. The more we can protect others and love others and care for others, the happier we become. So it would make sense to remain flexible in relation to all people's aggregates and my willingness to protect them. And if somebody I find difficult could so quickly become someone that I love more than anything in this world, or vice versa, then it's not even logical for me to say, well, I'll protect this one at this time, but not that one at this time. And I was willing to protect your aggregates last week, but this next week I'm not willing to protect your aggregates because my needs aren't really being fulfilled in the same way that they were. So your aggregates are out, but I'm going to move on to some other aggregates that I'm willing to say, oh, I'll protect you or I'll take care of you. So we see how mad our minds are on a regular basis and how nonsensical they are and how willing they are to just move from this to that. So why not see if we can then understand that since beginningless time, we've been taken care of by every single sentient being in the universe at some point in time or another. And those difficult people at this moment we're having difficult interactions with because we've created some karma in the past to have the experience of a difficult interaction. Now they're like a magnet, we're like a magnet and they're like metal. We're drawing them to us and they have some sort of habitual tendencies from the past to act in some certain way. So then they're going to act out towards me in a negative way because of this magnetic karmic connection that I'm responsible for the suffering I'm experiencing because I've created a cause for this suffering to occur. So I'm drawing someone in to then create some sort of non-virtue, if we really look at it clearly, that will make them suffer in the future. So my magnetism is bringing them in to give them a gift of some future suffering. So if we look at it like this and see that we're all out of control because of our afflictions, we're listening to this teaching we said because we're recognizing that we're ill in a way that we're not seeing things in a way that tallies with reality. We're willing to accept that once we analyze this very clearly, that if we're believing in something that doesn't exist and believe that it exists, this is not a mental state that's very stable. So when we recognize that this mental state that's not very stable is something that is shared by all of us, then our starting point is so incorrect that our reactions can be just about anything because we have so many previous habitual tendencies from our previous lives. And we're grasping at everything incorrectly as having a status that it doesn't have, inherent existence. And then we're grasping at that thing with inherent existence to have qualities, inherently existent qualities that it doesn't have, depending on my affinity for certain things and not for other things. If I have an affinity for something, that intrinsic awesomeness just seems so real from the object side. And everyone is a victim, just like me. And we're all colliding because we're all seeing things improperly. And we've all forgotten that at some point in time or another in our previous lives, we wept when we had to leave each other. We felt incredible pain of separation at some point in time in our previous life in relation to this being, in relation to them, the them that was designated on top of, designated independence upon, not on top of, independence upon a collection of aggregates that served as a basis of designation at that time when they were separated from me in my previous life, in their previous life, when they were separated from me, I felt immense, immense pain. So why not then give them the benefit of the doubt and say, like, oh, there you are again. I missed you. It was immensely painful when we separated, and now you're under the sway of this thing called the self-grasping ignorance and the self-cherishing attitude, and under the sway of my magnetized, previous non-virtue. Yeah, it's really strange when we think about this. When we think someone's yelling at us and we're like, you're a jerk, we should really be looking at in our previous lives the cause that we created to have a yelling person. And if we yell back, it must mean that we like yelling people because that's the only thing that could create more yelling people in our future. Yeah. It's also logical. It's almost disgusting. It's almost like nauseating when you start to break it down and look at it and see just how off the wall our minds really are and how, just at any moment we're ready to create, maybe an entire lifetimes of suffering uh, just because of our misapprehension of things, just because we're conceptually just getting one part of everything wrong, and that one part is just screwing everything up. So, benefit of the doubt. Let's see how Buddhisty we really can be in our meditation when we think about people we really find gross, we detest, and how we could invite them here to help them and say, just because your behavior is a behavior that I don't find appropriate, that doesn't mean that I don't love you. That doesn't mean that I don't want you to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Just because you have detestable behavior, just because you're acting in a way that is harmful to me, that doesn't mean that I don't want you to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And this is the test. This is the goal. This is what we're doing this week after week, day after day on a meditation cushion for, is to try to make our minds more likely to think like this. And if your mind's thinking more like this, when the yelling starts, the suffering is less because it's just coming out like, oh, there's someone yelling that I've attracted like a magnet. Wow, they're under the sway of self-grasping ignorance and the self-cherishing attitude. Wow, that's making them feel really bad at that moment. They feel horrible. I want them to not feel horrible because no one wants to feel horrible. They previously took care of me when I was vulnerable and gave me everything that I've ever wanted. When I was suffering, they tried to take away my suffering. I want them to have happiness. They're very unhappy right now. I can see by the look, the cringe on their face, the red in their face, the anger on their face, that they're not happy. All beings want happiness, just like me. You see how we use these teachings, these cognitive kind of, this flexibility we use, and we use that moment, like Bodhisattva Shantideva says, to remain like a piece of wood. We use that moment to try to remember to do this stuff. And sooner or later, we won't need that wood moment. We won't need to try to remain like a piece of wood. We will hear the noise and our immediate thoughts will be, oh, someone's been drawn to me. There's noise coming out of their mouth. It's empty of intrinsic existence. So many things will occur that will short circuit what would normally cause me to scream and yell or punch or whatever it is. But wow, I mean, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes you wanting really to be dissatisfied enough to do this stuff. But the great part is that this stuff works, and that if you do it day in and day out, I can say that you can go from someone who's irate day in and day out, like really angry, writing angry poetry, just angry at the world. Everything is wrong. I'll jump on a table and yell about it if I can, and just such a disturbed mind day and night, to a place where it's not quite like that. It's different than that, and it's not different than that because I've just attended a few teachings and heard some things and then just done nothing with it. It's because I've tried to put these teachings into practice in such a way, because I saw the beings that had done it, and they were incredible, like glowing individuals, that I took that chance and I put these teachings to the best of my ability. I do, into practice on a daily basis, and I reap the benefits of these teachings. I reap the benefits of these kind teachers. So, and I've been a jerk so many times in my life, and I want the benefit of the doubt. So when someone's being a jerk, you would want the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit of the doubt because it'll make your mind feel better. And I'm not saying I always do this. I'm just saying that sooner or later in the relationship reaction, I do this 100%. But I'm better at it than others. But sometimes I can diffuse it really, really quickly. And it's only because of the kindness of my teachers. So invite all of these beings, every single one of them, as Venerable Rabina Corton says, taste your own vomit. See what you really, really think like. See who you really, really are. And then when you see the things that you don't like about yourself, fix them, change them, because we're not permanently stuck. We're not concrete this or that. We evolve, we can mature. This is why, we have these good qualities, we have some bad qualities, and the good qualities are our proliferating Buddha nature. There's these things that can grow, that can proliferate into the most perfect qualities, into the best qualities. These good qualities of our mind can become the best qualities, and the negative qualities in our mind we just need to get rid of. And this idea that we can't get rid of them, that they're just instinctual, is incorrect. It's just not true. You can come up with theories and say it's true, but people change. People change their minds. Angry people become less angry. People get rid of anger almost completely, people that I've known. If it was instinctual, that would not be possible. You wouldn't be able to cognitively change something that you couldn't change because it's instinctual. You wouldn't be able to evolve. You wouldn't be able to have like proliferating Buddha nature if you were stuck as like an animal with instincts. But it's just not the case. It's just not the case. We see people mature. We see in our own cases maturity take place. It doesn't have to be like enlightenment or liberation. We see maturity take place. We see less, we see afflictions can go down. And if afflictions were just gonna be there no matter what, they couldn't go down. Or they would be present in everybody at the same level. But whatever, we could have a discussion about that another time. So imagine hell, hungry ghost, animal, human, demigods, and gods. You invite every single one of them here. And now imagine that the space in front of us transforms into Rajagriha at Vulture Peak Mountain, where the Buddha taught the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, taught the Heart Sutra, taught the definitive teaching, meant what he said. First and third turning of the wheel of Dharma being interpretable, the second turning of the wheel of Dharma being definitive. For Madhyamaka Prasangika, that means that the Buddha taught ultimate truth. The Buddha taught the nature of reality. So for Madhyamaka Prasangika, the definitive teaching is a teaching on ultimate truth, a teaching on emptiness. The second turning of the wheel of Dharma is the definitive truth that nothing in the universe intrinsically exists. There's not one phenomenon, not our mind, not the Buddha, nothing intrinsically exists. And this was groundbreaking. This is not something that had ever been said before during this time, all these years of books and everything. This idea that things don't intrinsically exist has never been presented. This is the only time. And it was groundbreaking because things not existing had been presented. But this idea of a mode of existence that was different than intrinsic existence or objective existence had never been touched before. And the Buddha came to tell us that everything has a subjective mode of existence and nothing has an objective mode of existence, meaning that nothing exists from its own side, independent of mere imputation, independence upon a collection that serves as a basis of designation. So the Buddha said there's nothing in the universe that we're going to be able to find that has a existence from its own side right within the object, established by way of its own character, established truly, ultimately. There was nothing ultimately existent, that even emptiness itself was not ultimately existent, and that everything conventionally exists, nothing ultimately exists, and that even emptiness subjected to ultimate analysis, you come up with a non-finding of intrinsic existence, a non-finding of an ultimate nature. So the Buddha said that this misunderstanding of all phenomena, because we believe that all phenomena intrinsically exist, and it all appears to our sense consciousness to intrinsically exist. The moment we make contact with, for instance, a tactile sensation, the moment we make contact with a taste, something that tastes, there's an experience of the appearance of intrinsic existence that's like a prison that we're in, that's coming from our obstructions to omniscience. I'm not going to get too into it, but it's this appearance is coming from, it's the job of these stains in our mind, the stains of ignorance in our mind. It gives us this projection that makes everything appear as intrinsically existent. Now, it doesn't mean that our eye consciousness and ear and our tongue and stuff is saying that's intrinsically existent. It's just appearing that way. It's appearing solid and concrete from its own side. Even tastes, smells. It smells like I've got nothing to do with it. It just smells like it's from its own side. The minute it makes contact with my, with the thing, the minute that the smell and the sense power and the immediately preceding condition, as soon as all of this contact takes place, and then it comes in as soon as that contact occurs, and the nose consciousness smells the smell. As soon as that contact occurs, there's an appearance of a smell that intrinsically exists. And then I just say, yeah, that thing, and then I apprehend it. Then I mentally, my mental consciousness, not the sense consciousness, is like, oh, that's a stinky smell, an intrinsically existent stinky smell. Oh, that's an intrinsically existent delicious smell. Just a wonderful smell. Think about your life, how we're led around by this, how we're just led around by this belief. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that. That feels like that. That smells like that. That looks, oh, that sounds so nice. Oh, that sounds so good. Oh, that feels so good. Soon as we make contact with all of this stuff, it appears to intrinsically exist. And we just fall into it. And then we become mush. And then we just make decisions based on all of this input that we're completely involved with. We think that this input is all just being inputted coming from here to here, but it's really going projected, a projection of intrinsic existence, and then it's appearing in a way. It's like the projector, the screen isn't the projector. The projector is projecting onto a screen, right? So this appearance isn't coming from the screen. This appearance is coming from the projector, but it's still external from the projector, and you can sit and watch it. Wow. You just sit and watch it and believe it. And believe it's right there on the screen, not coming from the projector, not coming from a merely imputing mind, not coming from the subject, coming from the object. So something about that, and I think that you can figure it out. Like we're mush, we're just everything's appearing in ways that are so concrete, but they're not. We're constructing them. We're constructing them based on our previous affinities and our previous ideas and the realm that we're in, and then what we had before and what we've been convinced of by advertising, even. All of this stuff is making our whole world into what it is, and we're naming and we're saying it's this and this is that and this is this. And even when we say this is this, that object itself is giving us a feeling because of this feeling of intrinsic existence that isn't true. When we're saying car, it isn't that this, like, it's the name that's the problem. It's the carness that we're assigning that's the problem. The car itself, the intrinsically existing car itself, that's the object of negation. There's somehow some other kind of car than an intrinsically existent car, according to Buddha. It doesn't mean the car doesn't exist, according to Buddha. It just means it doesn't exist the way that we think it does from its own side intrinsically, independent of my mere imputation. When I say mere imputation, that means only independence on a collection that serves as a basis of designation, not imagination. there's something externally that my neighbor, myself, it's the guy with the drone, flying above the house. Like we're all agreeing upon this stuff that we're all looking at for some reason. We're all agreeing on this, but somehow or another, we have to say that this agreement is a convention. And it isn't something that exists when we look all around at all this stuff from its own side, the way it appears to us. And modern physics would agree. So we've talked about that last week. All right. So, Sutra of the Heart of Transcendent Knowledge. The primary subject matter is emptiness, but we know hidden within it, we find the conventional truth. We find the paths of the Mahayana, path of accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation, no more learning, hidden within this. And hidden within this, the mantra, we find the five paths. When we hear the commentaries of on this text, we see that the first gate to om gate, path of accumulation, gate, path of preparation, paragate, path of seeing, parasamgate, path of meditation, bodhisoha, path of no more learning. And these are the paths that a bodhisattva goes through and realizes emptiness at various stages of in more and more subtle ways until they get to paragate, the path of seeing, and have a direct realization of emptiness, and then have it a bunch more times to clean up their mind from paragate to parasamgate, from the path of seeing to the path of meditation, and then eventually see emptiness the last time in the Vajra kind of state of equipoise, and then the next moment of when they come out of their release of that meditation, they're a Buddha. So this shows the bodhisattva path also implicitly hidden within it. And there's a way to explain the whole Heart Sutra also according to the five paths. As you get to certain breakpoints in the Heart Sutra, you can find this. Jayan Gapi Lodru's commentary, the first textbook writer for Drepung Loseling, you find all the breakpoints where the paths are in this Heart Sutra, and we can go over that another time. I would need to refresh myself in order to do that, but it wouldn't take much. I had the teaching from Rinpoche quite a few times. So without further ado, let's read the Sutra of the Heart of Transcendent Knowledge, and yeah, let's set the motivation. Let's read this so that we can become the most wise people in the universe, so that we can become a Buddhist, so that we can help everybody, so we can stop all of this pain, so we can stop all of the need for wars. If everybody's mind operated like the leader named His Holiness the Dalai Lama, then all of the, they'd like melt the, I don't know what they'd do with all the guns and everything. They'd have to do something, melt them. I don't know. What would they do with all the bombs and all the weapons? And there just wouldn't be a need for anything like that any longer if everyone started thinking in ways of being kind and compassionate and loving and helping one another. And that's really our true nature. Our true nature is not in opposition with feeling good. We want happiness. We want to be free from suffering. That's the proof. So all of these wars and anger, is in opposition with our true nature because we don't want to suffer. We don't want to have unhappiness. So our nature isn't to do these negative things, is what I'm saying. Sutra of the Heart of Transcendent Knowledge. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha at Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of the Sangha of monks and a great gathering of the Sangha of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi that expresses the Dharma called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, while practicing the profound Prajaparamita, saw in this way. He saw the five skandhas to be empty of nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should a son or daughter of noble family train who wishes to practice the profound Prajaparamita? Addressed in this way, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, said to Venerable Shariputra, O Shariputra, a son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the profound Prajaparamita should see in this way. Seeing the five skandhas to be empty of nature, form is emptiness, emptiness also is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, formation, and consciousness are emptiness. Thus, Shariputra, All dharmas are emptiness. There are no characteristics. There is no birth and no cessation. There is no impurity and no purity. There is no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no formation, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no dharmas, no eye dhatu, no mind dhatu, no dhatu of dharmas, no mind conscious dhatu, no ignorance, no end of ignorance, up to old age and death, no end of old age and death, no suffering, no origin of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since the Bodhisattvas have no attainment, they abide by means of Prajaparamita. Since there is no obscuration of mind, there is no fear. They transcend falsity and attain complete nirvana. All the Buddhas of the three times by means of Prajaparamita, fully awakened to unsurpassable, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the great mantra of Prajaparamita, the mantra of great insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering, should be known as truth, since there is no deception. The Prajaparamita mantra is said in this way: Te ata om gate gate para sangate buddhi soha. Thus Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound Prajaparamita. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, Good, good, O son and noble family. Thus it is, O son and noble family. Thus it is. One should practice the profound Prajaparamita just as you have taught, and all the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, that whole assembly in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Kala jube ne jo damba ne nguje du ju ngai du do jen du ba ba la ma yi bu jin zi ne zung gandro zo la sha ze lo aga zamara jazandara zamara. Agha samara jajandara samaraya vede adong gade gade baragade barazangade buddhizo baba gonja sanji gaye de doji she lobadoji me badoji she wadoji dagi baji medu beje danji she dingori zo gerin janja jeju she wadan medun nube jandandra wadan tomba junjin bonzon sonzoji dachi de janden da de le sho. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. Holy Lamas high, wrap the sky of your Dharma bodies in massive clouds of knowledge and love, and let them pour upon the earth of your disciples as we are ready, a shower of rain, the teachings deep and wide. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. Sanje jo don jo ji jo non la, janju ba du da ni ja su ji, da gi ju she ji be son nan ji dra la ben je sanje dru bar jo. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by teaching the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by teaching the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. And tonight we're going to read from the 5th chapter of Bodhisattva Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, because we know that this text is the basis for the explanation that Lama Tsongkhapa is giving on equalizing and exchanging self with others. But before we read that chapter, which is going to just take up the whole class, I think, and that's fine, we'll read the source of all of my good, just as a precursor, because this is the text that we're studying. And then remember that we're specifically studying bodhicitta, and specifically studying equalizing and exchanging self with others, practice that allows you to generate bodhicitta passed down in the profound view lineage from Buddha Shakyamuni to Arya Manjushri and Arya Nagarjuna and Bodhisattva, and eventually Bodhisattva Shantideva, and so forth. So this is why we're reading. We said that just as a blessing to be able to accumulate merit, to be able to understand the equalizing and exchanging self with others practice more clearly, we're going to read each time we meet a chapter of the Bodhicharya Avatara until we finish it, and then we'll look at more and more commentaries on the equalizing and exchanging self with others practice. So that's going to be what we're doing. So everybody can sit back and relax. We're going to read the source and then the 5th chapter of the Bodhicharya Avatara, and then we're going to dedicate and we're going to say good night. And yeah, so I guess it is true. I guess it's a secret teaching because Facebook just crashed and didn't work. So yeah. So yeah, we're having, I'm joking, obviously, but it's just kind of funny. I was doing everything I can to make it work, and I just ended it because I couldn't get it to work. So I can put this up on the YouTube and then eventually just put it on Facebook for all of the masses that are missing out on this evening's discussion. The source of all my good, the source of all my good by Lama Tsongkhapa. The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to them in the proper way is the very root of the path, and grant me then to serve and follow them with all my strength and reverence. Bless me to realize that the excellent life I found just this one of leisure, I found just this once. We'll see if I can read. Is ever so hard to find and ever so valuable. Grant me then to wish and never stop to wish that I could take its essence night and day. My body and the life in it are fleeting as the bubbles in the sea froth of a wave. Bless me first thus to recall the death that will destroy me soon, and help me find sure knowledge that after I have died, the things I've done, the white or black, and what those deeds will bring to me, follow always close behind, as certain as my shadow. Grant me then ever to be careful to stop the slightest wrongs of the many wrongs we do, and try to carry out instead each and every good of the many that we may. Bless me to perceive all that's wrong with the seemingly good things of this life. I can never get enough of them. They can't be trusted. They're the door to every pain I have. Grant me then to strive instead for the happiness of liberation. Grant that these pure thoughts may lead me to be watchful and to recall what I should be doing. Grant me to give the greatest care to make the vows of morality the essence of my practice. They are the root of Buddha's teaching. I have slipped and fallen into the sea of this suffering life. Bless me to see that every living being, everyone my own mother, has fallen into. Grant me then to practice the wish for enlightenment, to take on myself the task of freeing them all. Bless me to see clearly that the wish itself is not enough, for if I'm not well trained in the three moralities, I can't become a Buddha. Grant me then a fierce resolve to master the Bodhisattva vows. Grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together, one which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. Grant that once I practice well the path shared and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, highest of all ways, holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and good. Bless me to know with genuine certainty that when I've entered thus, the cause that gives me both the high attainments is to keep my pledges and my vows most pure. Grant me then to always keep them, even if it costs my life. Bless me next to realize as well as I can the crucial points of both the steps, the essence of the secret ways. Grant me then to practice as the holy ones have spoken, putting all my effort in and never leaving off the practice of the 4 times highest that there is. Bless me, grant me that the spiritual friend who shows me this good road and all my true companions in this quest live long and fruitful lives. Bless and grant me that the rain of obstacles, things within me or outside me that could stop me now, stop and end forever. In all my lives, may I never live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself, the one who holds the diamond. And recently, a few people passed away. And let's use this last stanza as our prayer for them, that they will never be separated from perfect lamas and bask in the glory of the Dharma and fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and quickly become themselves the one who holds the diamond, meaning Vajradhara. So their names are Imgard, Unterer is one. Our friend Boris from our Jeffrey Hopkins discussion group's mother passed away. So please keep her in your prayers. And also Lucy Chudwick, a very, very close family friend and close one of Lori's good friends growing up's mothers passed away, Lucy Chudwick. And also who? Beth Richards, who lived in Maine, who was our age, who unfortunately had a heart attack and yeah, passed away. So we just have to remember that death will come and nothing that can stop it. And we don't know when it's going to come. And the only thing that can help is Dharma. So when we make aspirations for people who've passed away, we can say, may they meet with perfectly qualified teachers to show them how to become kinder, more loving, more compassionate, more wise, so that they can eventually get rid of the afflictive obstructions and the obstructions to omniscience. So this is the kind of prayer that we make. So we're learning about bodhicitta. And if you want to be a bodhisattva and you want to have bodhicitta, you're going to need to be able to have that spy in your mind, making sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that spy in the mind in this chapter, in this particular translation, is called guarding alertness. We call it also introspection. So this chapter is all about guarding alertness and really making sure you're watching your mind making sure we know that this section, we know the first three chapters were about generating bodhicitta that isn't there yet. And these next three chapters are about not losing your bodhicitta that's there. But also, it's a whole bunch of advice around mindfulness and about how to guard your practice and what that means and why you would do it and why a bodhisattva needs to do that and why we need to do that, why we need to start practicing doing it, and nothing becomes more difficult with practice. And then we'll be able to, when we're actually bodhisattvas, this practice that we're doing will be what makes us be able to do it. Like practice for the game, and then we can play the game because we practice. We'll be able to do what bodhisattvas do and think like bodhisattvas think by setting the groundwork and knowing about it and so forth. So this fifth chapter is so precious. It's incredible. Yes, it's long, and but we should be able to get through it in no problem. And I'm not going to read it 100 miles an hour either. So I'm just going to read it stanza by stanza and think about these stanzas. I won't be giving any commentary. That's for another time. But just think about each stanza as you hear this and how it relates to all of the things that we want and all of the things that we don't want. How do we get the things we want? How do we get rid of the things we don't want? Okay. We're so fortunate to have these teachings. Okay, here we go. Guarding alertness or introspection. Chapter 5. May the supreme, okay, so we remember, may the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. First three chapters. That which has arisen not diminish. Next three chapters. Next three chapters. Increase forevermore. The bodhicitta that has not arisen arise. Verse 3. And that which arises not diminish. Next three. And then how do you make it grow? Next three. So we're in the section on how do you not lose your bodhicitta. And I don't have bodhicitta, but I'm just learning how to just be a decent person who wants bodhicitta and like is moving closer to being able to get bodhicitta. So I'm making my mind have all the stuff in it so that eventually all of the stuff is there and the recipe for bodhicitta will be complete and I'll be a bodhisattva. Those who wish to guard their practice should very attentively guard their minds, for those who do not guard their minds will be unable to guard their practice. In this world, unsubdued and crazed elephants are incapable of causing such harms as the miseries of the deepest hell, which can be caused by the unleashed elephant of my mind. But if the elephant of my mind is firmly bound on all sides by the rope of mindfulness, all fears will cease to exist, and all virtues come into my hand. Tigers, lions, elephants, bears, snakes, and all forms of enemies, the guardians of the hell worlds, evil spirits, and cannibals, will all be bound by binding my mind alone, and will all be subdued by subduing my mind alone. The perfect teacher himself has shown that in this way all fears as well as all boundless miseries originate from the mind. Who intentionally created all the weapons for those in hell? Who created the burning iron ground? From where did all the women in hell ensue? The mighty one has said that all such things are the workings of an evil mind. Hence, within the three world spheres, there is nothing to fear other than my mind. If the perfection of generosity were the alleviation of the world's poverty, then since beings are still starving now, in what manner did the previous Buddhas perfect it? The perfection of generosity is said to be the thought to give all beings everything, together with the fruit of such a thought. Hence, it is simply a state of mind. Hold on. Oh, I'm not a robot. It is simply a state of mind. Nowhere has the killing of fish and other creatures been eradicated, for the attainment of merely the thought to forsake such things is explained as the perfection of moral discipline. Unruly beings are as unlimited as space. They cannot possibly all be overcome. But if I overcome thoughts of anger alone, this will be equivalent to vanquishing all foes. Where would I possibly find enough leather which would cover the surface of the earth? But wearing leather just on the soles of my shoes is equivalent to covering the earth with it. Likewise, it is not possible for me to restrain the external course of things. But should I restrain this mind of mine, what else be the need to restrain all else? Although the development of merely a clear state of concentration can result in taking birth in Brahma's realm, physical and vocal actions cannot so result when accompanied by weak mental conduct. The knower of reality has said that even if recitation and physical hardships are practiced for long periods of time, they will be meaningless if the mind is distracted elsewhere. Even those who wish to find happiness and overcome misery will wander with no aim nor meaning if they do not comprehend the secret of the mind, the paramount significance of Dharma. This being so, I shall hold and guard my mind well. Without the discipline of guarding the mind, what use are many other disciplines? Just as I would be attentive and careful of a wound when amidst a bustling, uncontrolled crowd, so I should always guard the wound of my mind when dwelling among harmful people. And if I am careful of a wound through fear of it being slightly hurt, then why do I not guard the wound of my mind through fear of being crushed by the mountains of hell? Should I behave in such a way as this, then whether among harmful people or even in the midst of women, the steady effort to control myself will not decline. It is better to be without wealth, honor, body, and livelihood, and it is better to let other virtues deteriorate rather than let the virtues of the mind decline. Everyone keep in mind as I read this, this was written and spoken to monks. So there, Bodhisattva Shantideva gave this teaching orally to monks in the monastery. Oh, who you wish Oh, you who wish to guard your minds, I beseech you with folded hands, always exert yourselves to guard mindfulness and alertness. People who are disturbed by sickness have no strength to do anything useful. Likewise, those whose minds are disturbed by confusion have no strength to do anything wholesome. Whatever has been learnt, contemplated, and meditated upon by those whose minds lack alertness, just like water in a leaking vase, will not be retained in their memory. Even those who have much learning, faith, and willing perseverance will become defiled by a moral fall due to the mistake of lacking alertness. The thieves of unalertness, in falling upon the decline of mindfulness, will steal even the merits I have firmly gathered, so that I shall then proceed to lower realms. This host of thieves, who are my own disturbing conceptions, will search for a good opportunity. Having found it, they will steal my virtue, destroy the attainment of life in a happy realm. Therefore, I shall never let mindfulness depart from the doorway of my mind. If it goes, I should recall the misery of the lower realms and firmly reestablish it there. Through staying in the company of spiritual masters, through the instructions of abbots, and through fear, mindfulness will be easily generated in fortunate people who practice with respect. I am ever dwelling in the presence of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are always endowed with an unobstructed vision. By thinking in this way, I shall mindfully develop a sense of shame, respect, and fear. Also, through doing this, recollection of the Buddha will repeatedly occur. When mindfulness is set with the purpose of guarding the doorway of the mind, then alertness will come about, and even that which had gone will return. When, just as I am about to act, I see that my mind is tainted with a defilement, at such a time I should remain immovable like a piece of wood. Never should I look around distractedly for no purpose. With a resolute mind, I should always keep my eyes cast downwards. But in order to relax the gaze, for a short while I should look around, and if someone appears in my field of vision, I should look at them and say, "Welcome." To check if there is any danger on the path, I should look again and again in the four directions. To rest, I should turn my head around and look behind me. Having examined both ahead and behind, I should proceed to either come or go. Being aware of the necessity for such mindful alertness, I should behave like this in all situations. Once having prepared for an action with the thought, my body will remain in such a way, then periodically I should look to see how the body is being maintained. With the utmost effort, I should check to see the crazed elephant of my mind is not wandering off, but is bound to the great pillar of thinking about the Dharma. Those who strive by all means for concentration should not wander off even for a moment by thinking, how is my mind behaving? They should closely analyze their mind. But if I am unable to do this, when afraid or involved in celebrations, then I should relax. Likewise, it has been taught that at times of giving, one may be indifferent to certain aspects of moral discipline. I should undertake whatever deed I have intended to do and think of doing nothing other than it. With my mind applied to that task, I should set about it for the time being, for the time being to accomplish it. By acting in this way, all will be done well. But by acting otherwise, neither action will be done. Likewise, there will be no increase in the proximate disturbing conceptions that come from a lack of, there will be no increase in the proximate disturbing conceptions that come from a lack of alertness. If I happen to be present while a senseless conversation is taking place, or if I happen to see some kind of spectacular show, I should abandon attachment towards it. If for no reason I start digging in the earth, picking at the grass, or drawing patterns on the ground, then by recalling the advice of the Buddhas, I should immediately stop out of fear. Whenever I have the desire to move my body or say something, first of all, I should examine my mind, and then with steadiness act in the proper way. Whenever there is attachment in my mind, and whenever there is the desire to be angry, I should not do anything, nor say anything, but remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have distracted thoughts, the wish to verbally belittle others, feelings of self-importance or self-satisfaction, when I have the intention to describe the faults of others, pretension and the thought to deceive others, whenever I am eager for praise or have the desire to blame others, whenever I have the wish to speak harshly and cause dispute, at all times I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I desire material gain, honor, or fame, whenever I seek attendance or a circle of friends, and when in my mind I wish to be served, at all these times I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have the wish to decrease or to stop working for others, or the desire to pursue my own welfare, if motivated by such thoughts, a wish to say something occurs, at these times I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have impatience, laziness, cowardice, shamelessness, or the desire to talk nonsense, if thoughts of partiality arise at these times too, I should remain like a piece of wood. Having in this way examined his mind for disturbing conceptions and for thoughts that strive for meaningless things, the courageous bodhisattvas should hold their minds steady through the application of remedial forces, being very resolute and faithful, steady, respectful, polite, with a sense of shame, apprehensiveness, and peaceful. I should strive to make others happy. I should not be disheartened by all the whims of the childish who are in discord with one another. I should know them to arise in their minds due to disturbing conceptions, and therefore be kind towards them. In doing that which by nature is not unwholesome, both for the sake of myself and other sentient beings, I should always hold my mind fast, acting like an apparition, with no sense of self, by thinking again and again that after a long time I have won the greatest leisure. Likewise, I should hold my mind as utterly unshakable as the king of mountains. If mind, you are not made happy when this body is dragged and tossed about by vultures greedy for flesh, then why are you so concerned about it now? Holding this body as mine, why mine do you guard it so? Since you and it are separate, what use can it be for you? Why confused mind? Do you not hold on to a clean wooden form? Just what is the point of guarding this putrid, dirt-filled machine? First of all, mentally separate the layers of skin from the flesh. And then with the scalpel of discrimination, separate the flesh from the skeletal frame. And having split open even the bones, look right down into the marrow. While examining this, ask yourself, where is its essence? If even when searching with such effort you can apprehend no essence, then why, with so much attachment, are you still guarding this body? What use is this body to you if its dirty insides are unfit for you to eat, if its blood is not even fit to drink, and if its intestines are not fit to be sucked? At second best, it's only fit to be guarded in order to feed the vultures and jackals later. Truly, this body of a human being should be employed in the practice of virtue. But should you instead guard it with attachment, then what will you be able to do when it's stolen by the unsympathetic Lord of Death and given to the dogs and to the birds? If servants are not given clothing and so forth, when they are unable to be unemployed, if servants are not given clothing and so forth when they are unable to be employed, then why do you exhaust yourself looking after the flesh alone, when even through caring for the body it goes elsewhere? Now, having paid my body its wages, I shall engage it in making my life meaningful. But if my body is of no benefit, then I shall give it nothing. I should conceive of my body as a boat, a mere support for coming and going, and in order to benefit all others, transform it into a wish-fulfilling body. Now, while there is freedom to act, I should always present a smiling face and cease to frown and look angry. I should be a friend and counsel of the world. I should desist from inconsiderately and noisily moving around chairs and so forth, as well as from violently opening and closing doors. I should always delight in humility. The stork, the cat, and the thief, by moving silently and carefully, accomplish what they desire to do. A bodhisattva should always behave in this way. With respect, I should gratefully accept unsought after words that are of benefit and that wisely advise and admonish me, and at all times I should be the pupil of everyone. I should say, well said to all of those who speak of the Dharma well, and if I see someone doing good, I should praise them and be pleased. I should discreetly talk about the good qualities of others and repeat those that others recount. If my own good qualities are spoken about, I should just know and be aware that I actually have them. All deeds of others are the source of a joy. All deeds of others are the source of a joy that would be rare even if it could be bought with money. Therefore, I should be happy in finding this joy, in the good things that are done by others. Through doing this, I shall suffer no losses in this life, and in future lives shall find great happiness. But the fault of disliking their good qualities will make me unhappy, miserable, and in future lives I shall find great suffering. When talking, I should speak from my heart and on what is relevant, making the meaning clear and the speech pleasing. I should not speak out of desire or hatred, but in gentle tones and in moderation. When beholding someone with my eyes, thinking, I shall fully awaken through depending upon this being, I should look at them with an open heart of love. Always being motivated by great aspiration or being motivated by remedial forces, if I work in the fields of excellence, benefit, and misery, great virtues will come about. Endowed with wisdom and joy, I should undertake all that I do. I need not depend upon anyone else in any actions that I undertake. The perfections, such as generosity, are progressively more exalted, but for a little morality, I should not forsake a great gift. Principally, I should consider what will be of the most benefit for others. When this is well understood, I should always strive for the benefit of others. The far-seeing, merciful ones have allowed a bodhisattva to do some actions for others which are even forbidden. I should divide my food amongst those who have fallen to lower realms, those without protection and practitioners, and eat merely what is sufficient for myself. Except for the 3 robes, I will give away all. This body, which is being used for the sacred Dharma, should not be harmed for only slight benefit. By my behaving in this way, the wishes of all beings will be quickly fulfilled. Those who lack the pure intention of compassion should not give their body away. Instead, both in this and in future lives, they should give it to the causes of fulfilling the great purpose. The Dharma should not be explained to those who lack respect, to those who, like sick people, wear cloth around their heads, to those holding umbrellas, sticks, or weapons, and those with covered heads, nor to A woman unaccompanied by a man, the vast and profound should not be taught to lesser beings. And although I should always pay equal respect to the Dharma of the lesser and of higher beings, I should not communicate the Dharma of a lesser being to one who is a vessel for the vast Dharma. I must not forsake the Bodhisattva's way of life, nor mislead others by means of sutras or mantras. When I spit or throw away the stick for cleaning my teeth, I should cover it up with the earth. Also, it's shameful to urinate and so forth in water or land where others use it. When eating, I should not fill my mouth, eat noisily, or with a mouth wide open. I should not sit with my legs outstretched or just rub my hands together. I shouldn't sit alone in vehicles, on a bed, or in the same room of someone else's wife. In brief, having observed or inquired about what is proper, I shouldn't do anything that would be disliked by the people of the world. Basically, I should not give directions with one finger, but instead indicate the way respectively with my right arm and all my fingers fully outstretched. Nor should I widely wave my arms about, but should make my point with slight gestures and a snap of fingers. Otherwise, I could lose control. Just as the Buddha lay down to pass away, so should I lie in the desired direction when going to sleep, first of all with alertness, make the firm decision to quickly arise again. Although I am unable to practice all the limitless varieties of bodhisattva conduct, I should certainly practice as much as has been mentioned here of this conduct that trains the mind. 3 times by day and 3 times by night, I should recite the Sutra of the Three Heaps. For by relying on the Buddhas and the awakening mind, my remaining downfalls will be purified. That's the 35 Buddhas of confession, by the way. Whatever I am doing in any situation, wherever, whether for myself or for the benefit of others, I should strive to put into practice whatever has been taught for that situation. There is no such thing as something that is not learned by a conqueror's child. Thus, if I am skilled in living in this way, nothing will be non meritorious. Whether directly or indirectly, I should not do anything that is not of benefit for others. And solely for the sake of sentient beings, I should dedicate everything towards Buddhahood, awakening. Never, even at the cost of my life, should I forsake a spiritual friend who is wise in the meaning of the great vehicle and who is a great bodhisattva practitioner. I should practice entrusting myself in my spiritual master in the manner taught in the biography of Sri Sambhava. This and other advice spoken by the Buddha I can understand through reading the sutras. I should read the sutras because it is from them that the practices appear. To begin with, I should look at the sutra of Ashka Garbha. In addition, I should definitely read the compendium of all practices again and again, because what is to be constantly practiced is very well and extensively shown there. Also, I should sometimes look at the condensed compendium of all sutras, and I should make an effort to study the works by the same 2 titles composed by the exalted Aryanagarjuna. I should do whatever is not forbidden in those works, and when I see a practice there, I should impeccably put it into action in order to guard the minds of worldly people. The defining characteristics of guarding alertness, in brief, is only this: to examine again and again the condition of my body and mind. Therefore, I shall put this way of life into actual practice. For what can be achieved by merely talking about it? Will a sick person be benefited merely by reading medical texts? This concludes chapter 9. Wow. Really, really, really beautiful. Okay. So we'll conclude. Perfect timing. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. I encourage all of you to read these chapters again and again and again. It won't come quickly the first time, and you'll get a deeper and deeper level of understanding the more that you read it. And you'll come to find so many gifts are inside of this incredible, incredible text. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. Any mistakes that I've made, may they be purified by this mantra. Om Benzo Sato, Samayamana Balaya Benzo Sato, Zinava Jizadida Meva, Zulugar Meva, Zulugar Meva, Anurang Meva, Savaziri Meva, Jazawa Kamazija, make them Jim Gurum, Bhagavan Zava, Dada Gada Benzo, Mami Maga Benzo Baba Ma, Zamaya Zava, Om Ve. May we always be protected by Paul the Lama. Jorama, Jorama, Jojarama, Jinjagala Raja Maroma, Ajadaja, Jinjarilla Hongjo. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. With whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the three times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of enlightened deeds. Through this virtuous action, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead every being without exception into that enlightened state. In all my lives, may I never be separated from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself the one who holds the diamond. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. From my two collections, vast as space, that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose wisdom's eye is blinded by ignorance. And a prayer of supplication to Namgyal Khensur Geshe Wangdak Rinpoche, my root teacher. A complex yogi poses as a simple monk. Homage to Namgyal Khensur Geshe Wangdak Rinpoche, our precious spiritual friend who is inseparable from Aryatara. I fully prostrate, covering as many atoms of the earth as possible to your pure body, speech, mind, and enlightened activities. I offer to you drinking water, bathing water, flowers, incense, candles, scented water, food, and music purified by Om 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 Om. The rarity of having 1 million wish-fulfilling gems is a common occurrence compared to meeting with a holy teacher like you. Place the complete path to Buddhahood in our childlike hands. Just like Lord Atisha, who came to Tibet with a lamp to dispel the darkness of ignorance, you, kind abbot, arrived in the West with a lineage purer than a diamond and begged us never to be satisfied with partial instructions. Teachings of the extensive deeds and profound view lineages flowed from your lips like nectar for our ears that elucidated the teachings for beings of three capacities. Now that sound has stopped. All composite things are impermanent. You told us that all of your teachers passed away and understood the sadness, entreating us to continue our studies. The Buddha does not wash away the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It's by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. We are not prepared to take this difficult journey to the highest goodness of Buddhahood without your continued guidance. The sadness in our hearts would be too overwhelming. May he swiftly return to this world and take care of us in all of our lives, wherever we may be, never leaving our harps and crowns. May all sentient beings perfectly realize renunciation, bodhicitta, and the correct view of emptiness, so they know who you really are. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm so glad I got to read this chapter. It really was very moving for me, and I hope it was for you too. Okay, and I hope you practice every single moment of your life so that you can get rid of this nasty stuff we all have within us that's called self-cherishing attitude, self-grasping ignorance. All right. See you around.